Welcome to, can I go?
Yeah.
We good?
Yeah.
Well, welcome to our presentation tonight, Detoxing the Weight Away. It's the new year, and this is the time of year when we want to look at the last 12 months and see what we accomplished, and look at the next 12 months and see what we want to set goals for. And I think that's great. And we've all probably heard of the saying, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and that leaves you with a long way to go. And the problem is, I think a lot of people, when they set their New Year's resolutions, they're thinking 1,000 miles away. And sometimes, although goals are great and they need to be inspiring, sometimes they can also become very frustrating and overwhelming and kind of daunting. So what we're going to talk about is just the next 2 weeks and focus on that. Now, I don't know if y'all remember, back in 2013, New York City had this big to-do about passing a law that says they wouldn't sell soda containers or soda bottles more than 16 ounces. Because over 50% of New York City is overweight. And they thought that somehow by passing laws to control behaviors and habits, that was going to change things. I'm not sure the government's the best source of input to change people's behaviors or habits, but this young man figured out that instead of one big Slurpee, he get two smaller ones at the same size and wiggle his way around the rules. All right, well, why do we even want to address obesity or overweight issues? Well, because it's a big problem in our culture and our society. Obesity-related diseases consist of high cholesterol issues, type 2 diabetes, I hate this thing, coronary heart disease, arthritic joint, and back pain. I would say that probably a good 75–80% of our patients who come in not only are dealing with structural issues, but probably dealing with weight issues as well as metabolic issues that need to be addressed. Sleep apnea as well. We're going to get into this a little bit more later, but if anybody not aware or familiar with what a BMI is, a basal metabolic index. Is anybody not aware of that? Okay, so basically it's a simple way of figuring out how, based on your height and your weight, where should you be as far as your weight is concerned and your age. And we really, underweight would be 18.5. Normal, we'd like to see between 18.5 and 24.9. 25 to 30 is overweight, and then over 30 is considered obese. All right, you may be thinking, but doc, I've tried everything. Well, insanity is the same thing. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. We've all heard that quote, but let's apply it to tonight. If you eat the way you've always eaten, you're going to weigh what you've always weighed. And I'm not really a motivational speaker and a rah-rah guy, but you know what? We got to do it. We got to do it. I need you to repeat after me. This is the last year of tolerating less than I deserve, and my current situation is not my final destination. So our journey might be 1,000 miles, but we don't have to worry about the 1,000 miles. We just need to worry about the right here and the right now in the next 2 weeks. So we all know that we should eat better and do better, so why don't we change? Well, what keeps us from losing weight? A lot of times it's our emotional connection. It's eating food, that comfort food, eating things that make us feel good, and sometimes we just have poor habits. I'm going to be honest. I leave the office at 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. I don't always make the best choices going home. I stop at Mariano's a lot, but I don't always get to the right aisles as well. And physiological issues. A couple weeks ago, some of you were here and we talked about the thyroid and how metabolic functions are controlled by the thyroid and the endocrine system. We also have to look at the adrenals and hormonal imbalances. So sometimes there's actually something physiologically going on, but can be complicated by what we eat. And certainly these are considerations, and it's not just a weight issue, but tonight we're going to focus on metabolic toxicities and the body's inability to eliminate waste. Who's toxic? Well, in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you that all of us are being poisoned by our foods and in our water and in our environment. So, I'm going to be honest, I stole this from my friend, my mentor. I think this is a great example of all the things that we're producing in our manufacturing and our fabrication and our industrial businesses and complexes that are toxifying not only the air, the water, but then eventually work themselves into us. And the toxins are unavoidable, and they are everywhere. We are literally swimming in a sea of chemicals. And we're going to talk about not only land, sea, and air, but we're going to talk about animals in the wild, as well as animals that are domesticated or are being raised for our food. And we're going to go into also a little bit into agriculture and how that's affecting our weight and our health. Would you believe me if I told you that polar bears are getting hypothyroidism? How in the world could polar bears be getting hypothyroidism? Well, that's because the result of our vehicle, industrial, and incinerator pollutants like PCBs, flame retardants, heavy metals, plasticizers, Teflon, yes, the stuff that's on our pans and pots, and pesticides have actually affected the pristine environments and have started to cause hormonal changes and biological changes in polar bears. Polar bears are experiencing osteoporosis. Why and how? Same thing. When the polar bears are getting PCBs and chemicals into their body environment is actually becoming acidic. What does that mean? It's becoming pro-inflammatory. And just as I explained to my patients, especially my female patients dealing with osteoporosis, when our body is acidic or inflamed, we have calcium in the blood supply to help put that out and extinguish it. Calcium is like an extinguisher, kind of like this guy over here. And we have calcium in our blood circulation to deal with any emergencies or inflammation that might happen, like if I cut myself or I stub my toe. The problem is if I live in a constant chronic inflamed state, that fire extinguisher is going to run out real quick. Well, what's the other best source of calcium in my body besides being in my bloodstream? My bones. So it's like a reserve. It's a reservoir to pull that calcium out of the bones to help put fires out. So if polar bears are experiencing an acidic inflamed state, they're starting to have their calcium and minerals depleted from their bones as well. Also, we're noticing that there are levels of toxins coming out of pharmaceutical products through patients' urine. We're going to get to it more in just a second, but we're finding that Prozac can be found in the tissues of bluegills, according to Baylor University toxicologists. I don't know if bluegills have a lot of stress. You know, maybe there's a big fish chasing them and they need Prozac and they're stressed out. But I'm pretty sure they don't need the Prozac and it's not supposed to be there. Actually, in the Potomac River, there are biologists who are finding that some male fish species are actually starting to develop secondary female sex traits. So not only do they have testes like a male, but they're also starting to develop hormones and glands like a female. So they're both. Now, we're calling these intersex fish. I don't know if you call them trans fish nowadays or whatever. I'm an exorcist, I'm not sure. But they're noticing that there are eggs in the testes where they're supposed to be developing sperm. Now, I'm going to go off on a tangent for just a second. Maybe some of the confusion in our society and culture nowadays about who I am and what I'm supposed to be isn't all just mental and emotional. If our fish in our natural, pristine environment are being changed because of the chemicals that they're being exposed to, we're urinating and dumping these into the water. What's it doing to the people and the children that are already on those medications? But that's just for another conversation. Scientists from the Fish and Wildlife Service have noticed that the 60 to 100% of all the male smallmouth bass that they examined had female eggs growing in their testes. So it's in the Northeast as well, up in the Canadian border near Vermont and whatnot. It's not just in one local river, so you're saying, well, it might be just that one river that's polluted. It seems to be all over. It's even affecting whales. According to the Oceans Alliance, they send out drones to take samples of the spray that the whales blow out, which they can kind of do as a test for how the lungs are functioning in the whales. Even the whales are tainted. And studies are finding that in Puget Sound, detectable levels of oxycodone are being found in mussels. Now, I like mussels. I like oysters, I like clams, I like scallops, I like all of that stuff. And I'm not sure a mussel's life is that painful that they need oxycodone, they need narcotics, but those are filters, and those things sit on the bottom of the water and they filter chemicals and heavy metals and things like that. If we're finding these foreign substances, which man-made, in the animals and it's affecting their health, possibly it could be affecting us as well. And now that's kind of in nature, but let's talk about more domesticated or food being raised for our consumption. If you've ever heard of CAFOs, this basically is where it's a compound where chicken or pork or cattle are being raised and they're being pumped with steroids and hormones and antibiotics and other things because of the complications of having animals live that close together, and those things get passed on to their products, their milk, their meat, and what have you. I know it's an ugly picture, but I want you to kind of get the idea that the things that are being done to animals in nature as well as in domestication are going to become an effect and a problem for us. Excuse me, I can't speak tonight. Okay, now that's through the animals, but there are other things that can affect us through chemicals. Phthalates are basically chemicals that are used in substances like plastics, plasticizers. They're chemicals that are ubiquitous in everyday life. They're in Tupperware, they're in containers, they're in the liners of soup cans. When you buy them, there's actually liners in there that have chemicals in it that can seep into and leach into the foods that we might consume in soup. And just because they're not on the product labels doesn't mean they're not there, because they're so prevalent everywhere. It's actually kind of hard for us to find places that they aren't there. Phthalates are just one of many substances. I think last time we talked about BPAs, but there's a bunch of other chemicals that are being put into our foods as well. For example, let's take it to dairy and milk. In food, for example, even milk packaged in glass still has to go through plastic tubes on its way from the cow to the bottle, taking the phthalate or the DEHP along with it. Milking machines use a lot of plastic, and DEHP is free and very lipophilic, means fat soluble. It loves fat, and milk is fat. So basically that fat substance liquid is going through the plastic, pulling these chemicals out and leaching those out. And it pulls that out and gets it into the milk, into the glass container. The fact is that you can't know if a food has phthalate in it. You can suspect, but it's almost impossible to know if it's not there. Alright, so toxins are everywhere. What does that have to do with anything? Phthalates, what does that mean? Well, they've been linked to different health issues, like infertility, autism issues, asthma, ADHD, cardiovascular concerns, obesity, low IQ, neurodevelopmental issues, behavior issues, thyroid problems, and cancer. Now, we have a teacher here. Is that okay if I mention that?
Sure.
Too late, I just did. I got you out there. I'm sure that you probably see things with children that, or even sensory processing issues, behavioral issues, and things like that. And my parents, my whole family is full of teachers. It's changed since my mom started teaching 3rd grade or my dad taught junior high. The behavior issues are what I hear from my patients who are teachers compared to what my mom and dad would complain about at the dinner table aren't even the same kids. And we can get into a whole lot of possible reasons, but chemicals and certainly toxicities could be part of it. Alright, but let's get to some science here. So Dr. Anderson wrote a book called The Food Plague. And Dr. Anderson's work shows that our food is systematically being poisoned. I know that sounds weird. How could an agricultural and a food industry poison us? It may not be intentional, but it is happening. And we're experiencing cellular damage, tissue damage, and ultimately organ failure. So the issue isn't just about weight. I know that's what we all came here to talk about tonight, but I want to go a little deeper and explain that the problem goes much further and a lot deeper than maybe we thought. In fact, I don't know if you've been watching the news the last few weeks. Maybe you heard of the gentleman named Dwayne Johnson. Dwayne Johnson is a caretaker, and for many years he used Roundup to take care of the grass and the weeds and take care of the land. Well, Mr. Johnson sued Monsanto earlier last year, and the jury found that Monsanto's Roundup was in fact to blame for Mr. Johnson's cancer. Roundup is glyphosate. Glyphosate is in everything. If you eat corn, if you have anything with high fructose corn syrup in it, that corn was raised out in the fields with Roundup on it. Now, we have to understand that glyphosate is prevalent in the vast majority of our food sources. It's everywhere. It's kind of like if you've ever done crafting and you have like an ink or a powder, you touch it, the next thing you know, it's all over. It's on your shirt, it's on your clothes, it's on the floor. And unfortunately, glyphosate is that prevalent. Now, Dr. Joseph Pizzorno wrote a book called The Toxic Solution. And his point is that the primary driver of chronic disease in the industrialized world is environmental toxins. Not just bugs and bacteria and germs and things like that, but now the chemicals is the primary problem. And he's not saying that nutritional deficiencies aren't any longer a problem, and he's not saying that nutritional excesses are no longer a problem. He's saying that we've actually gone to another level and compounded it and added all these chemicals and toxins on top of the problems we've already had. Toxins are making us sick. GMO foods are creating unknown problems, which are making us sick. We need minerals to detoxify, but the problem is our soils are mineral depleted, so we can't even get the minerals we need for normal detoxification in a normal situation. And these same factors are making you, me, our families, and our society sick. What does any of this have to do with weight and weight loss? Well, have you ever seen somebody's house or driveway with one of these pods? Everybody knows what a pod is. So you can put a lamp and a couch and a bicycle, and you can put whatever you need to in there, and then the big truck comes and takes it away. Well, a fat cell is very much like a pod. They don't just hold fat. It's a storage cell. And when we're taking in all these chemicals through our air or water or food or medicine or whatever, our body can't always eliminate and get rid of those things, and the body has to put them somewhere. They sometimes get stuck in muscle tissue, liver tissue, what have you, but this fat cell is a perfect storage place to dump stuff. So maybe you know somebody, or maybe you've done it. New Year comes along, everybody goes, enjoys the gym, exercises, works out, eats right. 2-3 weeks later, they're starting to lose weight and they feel like crap. Why? Well, because what they did was they released the fat from the fat cell, but all those toxins the body dumped in there to get out of circulation. So you just basically opened up Pandora's box and released a bunch of crap back into the system. If I go too fast or don't make sense, just raise your hand and I'll definitely repeat myself. So think of a fat cell like a storage container. At this point, I want to take a little TV timeout and turn our attention to those surveys. Has everyone completed their questionnaire? Okay. Okay. So if not, let's go. Okay, go ahead and finish it up. Add up your score. This is a summary. This is just a very cursory questionnaire. We actually go into a lot more detail with some of our other products and other programs. But typically, if anybody's score is 15 or less than 15, yeah, there might be some issues we should address, but anybody who scores 15 or greater, we know that there's some issues that could and need to be looked into at a deeper level. So you don't have to share with me or not, just look at your number, it's your own homework, don't share with your neighbor. But this is just one thing that we want to look at. This person would be a good candidate for a detox program like we're talking about. Now, we've done these before. In fact, I've been doing detox programs for about the last 12 years, and I typically do them myself. The program I'm talking about tonight is a more consolidated, compressed program. The one I usually do is a 3-step detox, which is a 2-month program. This is a 2-week program. Now, we've done it with other folks, and we've gotten some test results. So, just like your score is whatever, 12 or 30 or 32, we had 12 individuals go through this already, and we had their before scores and their after scores. Now, some of these people were actively looking to lose weight. Some of these people were not actively looking to lose weight. These 4 people here, patient E, F, G, and H, these 4 people were not trying to lose weight. In fact, they weren't even following the menu exactly. They were eating more than they should. And there's only one person who didn't lose weight. Even the people who weren't trying to lose weight lost weight. But the folks that were trying to lose weight, you'll notice that anywhere from 12.4 pounds, 17 pounds, 9 pounds, 5 pounds, 8, 3, 10, and 9, with an average of between 7 and 9.2 pounds were lost. And that's including the people that weren't trying. I've been on this since, Monday? It's 3 days. Yeah. I'm down 5.2 pounds. All right. Not everybody will necessarily get those results, but I can't promise that. But even people who weren't trying to lose weight did better. What I'm really interested in, and I know everybody wants to lose weight, I'm really interested in how their health benefited overall. So whatever your score is, this individual went from a 50 down to an 8 and lost 12.4 pounds. That's fantastic. The person who didn't lose any pounds went from a 32 to a 13. And let's get into more details with the testimony. We're going to skip this one, to the testimonials. So patient K, their original score was 106, and they went down to 72. This person lost 10 pounds. This person was having chronic joint and back pain, and after 15 days, the pain in their hands and their knees was non-existent. The pain in the back was greatly reduced and had added, in their mind, the bonus was that they did lose weight. For anyone that is in the least bit skeptical, they would suggest that it's a game changer and you should give it a try for a pathway to wellness. This person, patient E, scored a 13. Now, but doc, that's less than 15. Well, but the problem is that they had some health issues. They suffered from some extreme eczema. And remember the other day I mentioned that sometimes skin issues relate to the gut? Mm-hmm. They do. And in this particular case, nothing topical was helping to give them relief. The 15-day cleanse cleared up his eczema. So even though they may not necessarily score real high when they filled that out, there were some superficial and skin issues that needed to be addressed. Patient G went from 73 to 11. I literally had severe pain in all of my joints from my toes to my neck. All my muscles hurt. This part kind of hurts as a chiropractor. I'm going to read it anyway. I saw several chiropractors 2 to 3 times a week for 4 years to deal with the pain and inflammation, and relief was temporary at best. I can appreciate that. Despite daily ibuprofen, botanicals, aspirin, occasionally some script meds, the pain was tolerable, but it was always present. After going on the internet, I had thought I had fibromyalgia, although I never went to see an MD. Virtually my whole body hurt all day and every day. By the second week of the cleanse, I was dramatically better. And my alternating constipation and diarrhea has also ceased, and now I have 2 regular BMs each day. I'm sorry, you had to go there. I also had severe insomnia, and that is gone too. Thank you for sharing this program with me. This has been a life-changing experience for me and my family. So, again, I know we all want to lose weight, but I, as a physician, like to help people feel better and get healthier. So what's this all about? It's no secret. It's real straightforward. We're going to eat real food. And we can eat meats. We can, excuse me, back up. We're going to eat as raw and natural as possible, okay? If you go to the grocery store and you look around the periphery, you'll notice that that's where kind of the fresh fruits and the fresh vegetables and the fresh produce is. But if you look inside the grocery store, you'll notice that's where things are boxed and canned and have a long shelf life. That's the part we want to avoid, because we are going to eat lean proteins and meats. We're going to substitute dairy products with things like almond milk and things like that, because dairy tends to be a very allergenic, either allergies or dairy intolerances or even sensitivities. This program, it actually allows for some starches. I know that some programs like keto and even the Atkins just completely eliminates carbs, and that's okay. In this program, we definitely want to eliminate breads, pastas, and starches, but it allows for things like sweet potatoes, gluten-free breads, gluten-free crackers and rice, things like that. But it really depends on how much weight you want to lose. If you want to lose the most possible weight, I would actually suggest cutting out those carbs as well, because those are still sugars and we want to get rid of as many of those sugars as we can. This isn't like an HCG diet where you're going to get shots or you're counting calories every day. It's not a very low calorie diet. It is a reduced diet, but we don't want you hungry and we don't want you starving. We definitely can include oils, fats, and nuts. We want veggies. We want as fresh as possible, avoiding canned, avoiding overly cooked things. Fruits are definitely a yes, and then of course beverages, water as much as possible. I know someone's going to ask me, can I have coffee? I'm speaking to you, Alexis. No, you cannot. We want to avoid stimulants. It's just torture. I know, I'm big meanie. Caffeine is not helpful for our body. It's a stimulant plus it's a diuretic. So doc, if I can't have coffee and sodas and caffeinated beverages, what can I have? I can have water, because our body needs that water to flush and get rid of the toxins. Now, I'm going to be honest, water gets boring. water gets very plain. And we happen to have found some very natural flavors that I've been using, and you've been using too.
Oh, like a couple times.
We've actually found some healthy stevia, some natural flavors to flavor our water. It tastes like berry, it tastes like peach mango. It actually makes water more palatable, and it's not an artificial thing like aspartame or those other things. And then herbs and spices that will be included in the menu as well. So, yes, there is room for some carbs. It just kind of depends on how motivated you are to lose weight. Now, believe it or not, this program was not designed to be a weight loss program. It was designed to be a metabolic cleansing and for the health of the patient. The fact is that everybody who's done it, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 people, has lost weight. The program, the daily menu kind of consists of a real straightforward game plan here. Can you pass out maybe a couple samples, if you would, please? So it's real straightforward. We're going to have breakfast, lunch, dinner, and we can snack. This isn't about starving. What is a portion size? A portion size is whatever the palm of your hand is. We don't have to sit there and weigh 3.5 ounces. It's whatever your hand is. I had a chicken breast for lunch. I had Brussels sprouts, and I had curry spiced kale. A curry spiced kale salad, and I'm feeling pretty good. So at any time if you're feeling hungry, it's absolutely okay to have a snack like an apple or a banana or even another shake. So let's take, for example, today is Wednesday. Breakfast, we would have a shake. For lunch, you might have half an avocado and a kale salad. And
ignore the color. That's what I
do. And this is the shake that she's passing out. And dinner might include another shake, and then for snack you might have an apple or some unsalted almonds. Thursday could include breakfast would be 2 scrambled eggs and turkey bacon, and then lunch and dinner would be shakes, and then snacks could include grapefruit or cashews or something of your choosing.
We have water to wash it down. Let me know if you want.
And we do have, it's not that bad.
I'm about to taste it too. It's just the faces. So.
Trust me, I've had a lot worse products that just didn't taste that good. Basically what we're doing is we're replacing 2 of our 3 meals with a shake. It's 75% pea protein and then 25% natural greens, which are concentrated in dehydrated vegetables. So we're going to get our proteins, we're going to get our veggies, we're going to get our fats and our carbs that way. Now, if you don't feel like you can replace 2 of the 3 meals, some people just do 1 of the 3 meals, okay? But obviously the closer you can follow that program, the better your results will be. Alright, so the second reason they felt good is not only because they lost weight, but they supported the cleanse, we provided clean protein, clean calories to help heal the gut, and we want to help support energy production. What our focus is we want to clean the body, and then we want to feed the body. So this 15 days is kind of a runner-up, if you will. Like we talked about, the journey of 1,000 miles is kind of overwhelming and daunting. Man, I got people who I can't see 2 months down the road. So when we do a 3-step detox, they're like, I gotta do this for 2 months? Mentally, they've already checked themselves out. I can't do this. But anybody can do something for 15 days. I mean, you can change your sleep habits, you can change what you eat for 2 weeks. Anybody can handle 2 weeks. The hope and the goal is that you will see enough change that you're motivated to want to move on to the next step. And honestly, like I've said before, if you guys don't do anything or you never become a customer or client, that's fine. I hope you take this information home and share it with a loved one and family members and maybe change somebody else's life. But let's review. So the NutriClear Plus helps to open the natural channels of elimination, helps to diminish the inflow of toxins, and we're diminishing the inflow of toxins by eating better and making smarter choices. And we reduce the effects of our common food sensitivities, at the same time eliminating highly inflammatory foods. So, if there's something on that list that you saw that you know you're sensitive to or allergic to, then obviously don't eat those things. But otherwise, most of these foods are anti-inflammatory in nature. Now, what this program isn't, it isn't a magic pill. There's a commercial on TV every night that kills me. Hey, you can eat whatever you want, just take these 2 magic pills and you'll lose weight. Here's the thing, I don't know what's in there. Am I adding to the toxic load that my body has to deal with and my liver has to filter out? Yeah, I might lose weight, but now I'm just opening up and releasing more toxins into my body. And if my elimination pathways can't eliminate that stuff, I'm just adding more of a toxic load to my body. It's not an overnight change. Look, this isn't a Cinderella thing. There's no magic slipper. No, I'm sorry. But some people will see changes early on. It depends on how strictly they follow the game plan. What it does require thought, planning, and effort. I like to plan. I just print out my calendar and I write things down as I go. Maybe you're really good with a phone app or your phone, or maybe you have a leather-bound day planner or something. I just like to print things out and write them down because I gotta think ahead. I don't plan well if I don't write things down. It does require making some changes. There's going to be no coffee. There's going to be no stimulants. There might be some things we talked about. You're like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that. You may have to actually sit down and make a deal with yourself. Hey, it's only for 2 weeks. You can have it after the 16 days. But I'm betting you that thing that you're not looking forward to giving up, if you actually did, after 2 weeks, you'll feel so good. If you do it, it'll probably bring back some of the issues that you're dealing with. I've had people do the whole 3-step detox, and they got like maybe halfway through, and they went into a birthday party on a weekend, or maybe they cheated on a regular day, and they came in, and they're like, Doc, my joints are killing me. I feel worse. I have more brain fog. And all it was a piece of birthday cake. I'm like, well, I don't have to shake my finger at you because your body told you once you started healing and cleaning, you put that toxin back into the body, you punish yourself. Now, another thing you're going to have to do, you're going to have to drink water. And I know the complaint that comes after this, but Doc, I'm going to have to pee. I know. Well, the rule of thumb is we want to have half of our body weight in ounces in water. So if I weigh 100 pounds, I should drink 50 ounces. I weigh 200 pounds, I should drink 100 ounces. I'm going to pee. Well, here's the thing. The body's peeing because it has toxins it has to eliminate. If you drink water consistently for a longer period of time, you actually will notice that after a while you don't have to urinate quite as much. Now, but Doc, what are some of the challenges? I mean, does everybody have a great experience? Most people do, but every once in a while we will have a bit of a detox reaction. And what that means is that some people are so used to standard American diet and food that when you actually start to put something healthy in and you start to eliminate the toxins, the body may have a little bit of a reaction and a health challenge. Yeah, kind of be like, what the hell? This is a vegetable. I don't know what to do with it. I've literally had people who thought a French fry was vegetable. Well,
It's a potato.
technically, but the glycemic index on a potato is very, very high. And eating a piece of broccoli or asparagus, God forbid, was a stretch for that person. But yet, when they did the more complicated, the more comprehensive detox, she was an individual who had headaches for 2 years to the point where she couldn't leave the house as a 26-year-old. And after about 2 months, we probably got her headaches like 80% better. That's another story. Point being, what's that?
No.
Point being is some people may detox too quickly because they're actually starting to put good foods in and they're starting to release those toxins, but the toxins can't get out because the elimination pathways, they're not pooping enough and they're not peeing enough, so those things get backed up. It's kind of like if 100,000 people are at Soldier Stadium and there's only one exit open and everybody wants to leave at once, it's going to back up, right? And even if all the exits are open, it takes a while. But we have to figure out, is it just too quick, is the person detoxing too quickly, or are they actually having some sensitivities to the foods? Because as the body starts to heal, many of the symptoms that were suppressed are going to start to be noticeable, and they could be experiencing sensitivities to the foods, and then we have to figure that out. We have a pulse test that we can go over that's on our website or on our YouTube channel, as well as some blood tests if we need to. Other issues, you might have gas, okay? We're killing bad bugs in the guts. And when there's die-off, sometimes there's gas. We're also trying to heal and bring good bugs back into the gut. So there can be some gas because of that. And there can be some underlying digestive issues, which we'll get to more in just a second. But many people's digestive systems are not working at 100%, and they don't even know it until they actually start to eat healthy. and start to have gas issues. Next question I know I'm always going to get, but doc, I've done cleanses before. Can I leave the bathroom? I mean, is this something that I need to stay close to the bathroom? Typically, no. Those kind of cleanses are really more like liquid cleanses to get you to basically flush out the colon. This is not that type of a program. You might have some looser stools here and there, simply because your body's trying to slough off and release toxins. And if you're drinking your water, that's okay because you need to get rid of it. But if anything, most people that might have an issue would be more towards a constipation or maybe having firmer stools. And those are people who typically aren't drinking as much water. And again, the body's trying to dump those toxins, but they don't have enough water to flush. And of course, am I going to be hungry? Well, like we talked about, you can have a snack. And it's not about starving. And if you feel like you have to have 2 meals tomorrow because you only had 1 today, that's totally fine. It's not about punishment or starvation, but we just want to give the body a chance to heal. So the other thing we have to consider is if the stomach is used to you putting a certain amount of volume of food in every day, and all of a sudden we put in a smaller amount of volume, it's more nutrient dense, it's more nutrient rich, and better for our body, but it's still a smaller volume of food. If the stomach is used to this and we put in this, it's going to take a couple days for the stomach to adapt and to shrink. Typically by the first 2 days were a little rough for me and I'm doing okay right now. But like I said, if you're that hungry, we can always have a snack. And many times hunger is a sign that we need more water. Okay, so typically with a program like this, the consultation is reduced. It's not my normal hour consultation where we dig deep into a lot of health issues and look at blood work and look at other labs and things like that. We kind of know what direction we want to go here. So the consultation is normally 30 minutes and that's usually $50. We're going to weigh in, we're going to test our BMI, we're going to do blood pressure, we're going to do vitals. I kind of want to get a before of where you're at because we've had people and their blood pressure drop within 7 to 10 days, even sooner than that. And that's usually 25. The NutriCure questionnaire that I referred to earlier is a 320 questionnaire that kind of helps us to understand, yeah, this person's here interested in losing weight, but you know what, their kidneys aren't working right. Well, that might be why they're not able to dump the metabolic toxins. Okay, it's an indication that we have to dig deeper. The urinalysis that we do. I mentioned earlier that you might be having gas, you may have digestive issues, and you don't even realize it. Well, one of the tests that we do with the UA actually tests for the microbiome. It tests for gut health. It tells us if the guts are in balance or if they're experiencing dysbiosis, which is a fancy doctor word that means the guts could have leaky gut issues. There could be too many bacteria or bad bacteria. It's a simple urine test that tells us something ain't right with the digestive system. And if that is so, we may want to be a little bit more careful working with that person, or at least bring that to their awareness. Another one of the urinalysis tests is for adrenal fatigue. Anybody not heard of the word adrenal fatigue? Okay, cool. So the adrenals are little glands that sit on our kidneys that are kind of like the Energizer bunnies of the body. Remember the commercial with the bunny rabbit? Well, those little glands make all of our energy, and those guys get tired. And a simple urine test can tell us your adrenals are burned out. And why would that be? Well, not only because of the chemicals that we talked about, but we live in a very stressful society, in a very stressful culture that expects us to be up and working by 7 and don't get home until 7. So it's good to kind of know one of the reasons you may not be losing weight is because your adrenals are so fatigued that it's trying to hold on to as many calories as it possibly can. The Detox kit should retail for $3.99. So this whole program technically should be $5.79, and unfortunately insurance doesn't cover those things. But what I'd like to do is, since you took time out of your schedule to listen to our presentation tonight, I'd actually like to extend a thank you and a program discount of over $300. And if you choose to go through the program, tonight's special presentation price is only $249. That's over 50% reduced from what it normally should be. And to make things more interesting, we're going to do a little contest. So for those of you who join up from this group, 2 weeks from now, we're going to have a checkout, if you will. We're going to check in first, and then we're going to check out and see who's had the biggest changes in their BMI and whose score has changed the most, and that person is going to win a free half-hour massage. Not by me. I'll give you a certificate, and you'll have to go to a real massage therapist. Okay. All right. So, if you want to participate, what we're doing is on our way out, Alexis will be at the front desk, and she can sign you in and get you scheduled for your weigh-in and your check-in. It's only going to take about 30 minutes or so. Won't be tonight, but anytime between now and Saturday or even early next week, she can get you scheduled and take care of that and get you registered. So, I want to leave you with a final thought. You are always one decision away from a totally different life. Your diet is not only what you eat, it's what you watch, it's what you listen to, it's what you read, and the people you hang around with. So be mindful of the things you put into your body, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. So, anybody, any questions?